let's get on to kind of talking about typography. And it's actually amazing to talk to yourself. You know, you've got an amazing background. I won't blow your own trumpet, but just for the viewers, they might need to know, you know, you have, you know, got some kind of amazing kind of projects and commissions under your belt. Yeah. And do you want to talk about a few of them to start with and how you got them?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess a little background is, you know, I grew up in the 80s and I think the way that we kind of, for young people, a lot of the consummation of kind of culture was through music, through things like record sleeves. You know, you go into school day after Top of the Pops and often people would borrow and share records. You'd come in with a record sleeve under your arm and people would identify who you were, what kind of tribe you're a member of or whatever. And it just, you know, it was like, I think when you're young, you kind of, that is your art. And, you know, you kind of get into that. And in particular, there was a designer called Peter Saville who did a lot of record covers for a band called New Order, very influential. And I was very drawn to that kind of thing. And I think like a lot of people, I did have dreams at one time of being a pop star. But I couldn't sing, haven't got any ideas, couldn't play any instruments. So it just seemed like a way into something interesting to do something like design record sleeves. And then you kind of find out about it, and it's not, you know, just simply like, oh yeah, here's an idea and it just appears. So I went to college, University of Reading, and then when I was at university, I got a summer job in New York.
Nice.
And I worked at this place that did magazines, and magazines are interesting because they're an interesting part of kind of graphic design communication, in that it's very much words and images and a real respect for words and the way you treat them. I think sometimes in graphic design, words are sometimes thought of as the kind of almost the last part of the communication process. Yeah. Whereas actually often they are the most essential one. So it was interesting working there, and I worked with this guy, and he kind of taught me a lot. Roger Black, his name was. He was kind of legend of magazines. And at that time, you know, this is when Macintoshes had really started to kick in. So 1991, 1992.
And what, you worked on Quark Express?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I remember going to the office in New York of Esquire magazine, and this was, I've ever seen a colour printer. You know, that was just something now you just take for granted, like, oh, let's just print this out on colour. Then it was like this big thing that printed A3, or the American equivalent of A3, in colour. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it was just like a kid in a candy shop. So, but at that time, you know, with the Mac, it was the first time that people had started to really design typefaces in a custom way. So actual clients now, magazines, could have their own typefaces. That was a kind of phenomenal kind of change, because beforehand, it'd all been big companies like Monotype and Linotype who, you know, you bought typefaces, but suddenly you could actually commission someone to design your own.